Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation, the MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience need to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation show, your Sunday after dinner show. We know you have other places you could be, other podcasts you could be flying on, but you choose to hang out with us, and we appreciate you for that. Tonight, we have a great guest, but before we get to that, we have some bad news to share with everybody. We lost 3 police officers since our last show, and we'll share them now. Police Officer David Rose, USMC veteran, DeKalb County Police Department, Georgia, end of watch, August 8th, 2025. Sergeant Kenneth Salas, United States Air Force veteran, Spokane, Washington Sheriff's Department, Washington, end of watch Saturday, August 9th, 2025. And Sergeant Caleb Eisworth, Baton Rouge Police Department, Louisiana, end of watch August 10th, 2025. Let's keep them in your thoughts, your prayers, their friends, their families as they go through this sudden life change. We know they put their lives on the line every day, but their families understand that, but they're also not always prepared for that sudden change. So let's keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this hard time and come out on the other side in the light. With that, tonight, we have a great guest, USMC veteran, the author of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes, short stories about friendships, growth, and social misdemeanors. His background is anything but conventional. Through a lot of trial and error, life experience, they have taught him that humor, resilience, and stubbornness, and sometimes a complete inability to read the room, has gotten him far in life. So without further ado, let's welcome Andy Dietrich to the MisFitNation show. Welcome, Andy.
Hey, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, brother. Good.
You know, two things before we get started. One, I absolutely love that you give a tribute to the fallen officers, right? I don't know who these people are, but the fact that you said their names out loud means that I've heard their names now, right? And that means something, right? And I wish that, God forbid, anything like that ever happened to me, that, you know, my name gets said just so it carries on. So first and foremost, I think that's awesome. Second, I had to jump online on YouTube and follow your channel because you're having me. That's the least I can do is follow you, right? So boom, got another subscriber.
Thank you. That's awesome. This little saying that I learned this year: you die 3 times: physical death, spiritual death, and then when your name is said the last time. So as long as we keep saying the person's name, they'll always be with us. So always remember to say their names.
You say that there's actually a whole page and a half in the book dedicated to exactly that, right? The 3 layers, the three phases, and the way I was explained it, I think I was listening to the radio about, you know, death and grievance and getting over that kind of stuff, or rather coping with it. There's a 4th phase where the 3rd you said when the last time someone says your name, and the 4th one is when someone thinks of you, right? So me paying tribute to some of my friends who are no longer here in the book. People don't know who they are, people don't know their names, but the fact that someone may be thinking about them when they read those chapters, hey, you know what, that carries on their legacy.
Outstanding. Yes. Andy, I only gave basically the 2-sentence overview of Andy right there. If you don't mind, reach back into your Wayback Machine and tell the Misfit Nation a little bit more about you, from as far back as you want to go to how we got to this book.
Sure. I'll give you the elevator pitch. So my name is Andy Dietrich. I'm in my mid-40s. I was born in Berlin, Germany. Then I lived in the Black Forest area of Germany till I was about 14 years old. My mom and I then decided to, well, most of my mom did. We then decided to move to Alaska, of all places. There's a whole story to go along with that as well. Did my formative years, high school years rather, in Fairbanks, Alaska. Experienced what -40 does to a body, right? Experienced what it does to a car. Things change when you have to deal with -40 in the wintertime. 24/7 darkness, right? It's a different kind of living. Anyway, then in 2000, got a call from a Sergeant Newhouse, United States Marine Corps, and he gave me the whole spiel, and I told him I'm interested, thanks, but no thanks, click. And he called me back 6 months later, and I figured, well, now he's a staff sergeant. He got promoted in between, you know, the first and the second call. So told myself, well, if I go down there, tell him no to his face, maybe he'll take me off of his roster. I went down there, talked to the dude, and he sold me. He didn't bamboozle me. You know, he didn't tell me any kind of BS that wasn't true. He just did a good job selling the Marine Corps to me, and I thought, well, maybe this is my ticket out of here. And I took it, and off I went. Like a month later, I was off, and I did 4 years of active duty down in Pendleton. Had a good time. We didn't deploy. I was with the schools unit. We can talk about the details of that later on if you want to as well. I had a pretty mild, 4 years of active duty. And I made some good stories out of it, though. Some shenanigans and some tomfooleries and some other unsavory moments, let's put them that way. And then in 2004, got out, moved to Las Vegas. I've been here ever since, and I've been living the good life. So, that's me in a nutshell.
Definitely 2 completely different weather patterns you went from there. So Alaska to Vegas, you went beautiful darkness and 40 below to bright sunshine and a good 120 some days.
My God, that heat sometimes kills you. I swear. I don't, we have a homeless population here, and I do not know how they do it. Right? I mean, I don't know how people do it homeless to begin with. I've been fortunate enough to never have to experience that, thankfully. But I don't know how people now. If you're homeless in Hawaii, I assume that's going to be a lot easier than being homeless in Fairbanks. And we had homeless people in Fairbanks. There are homeless people here in Vegas, and when it's 115 degrees, and you can't. All you do is survive, right? And me being outside for 10 minutes trying to do some errands, I'm already dying of heat. So I don't know how people do it. I give them nothing but credit. I don't know. It's just one of the situations of I hope to never have to experience that. But the ones who do, that's a different cut of cloth that they're cut from, because I have no idea how they do that.
Definitely. It's not for the weak-minded or the weak at heart to have to, one, know that you don't have to roof over your head anymore, and two, to get out there and live amongst others who are in the same situation, whether it is Vegas or Hawaii or New York City. It's horrible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, enough about that.
Let's get back to the B part. Let's go back to the Let's talk about some of your time in the Marine Corps. You said rebel rousing and tomfoolery. That's Marine Corps wrapped up in. That's a book itself, tomfoolery in the Marines. You could probably just talk to your brothers and sisters you served with there and get like a 300-page book about tomfoolery. What's some of the fun stuff you guys got to do?
I mean, the dumb crap that, I was told in a young age that the most dangerous Marine is a bored Marine. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. And that can be applied to anything, anyone really, right? And there was another saying that I heard of, you give a Marine 2 ball bearings, right? 2, steel ball bearings. And within half an hour, one will be lost, one will be broken, right? It's just one of those things that we're just great at. We're great at breaking things. We're great at losing things. But the quote earlier, right? The most dangerous one is a bored one. Absolutely. I think that once you have a little too much time on your hands, little too much money in your pocket after getting paid, right, on a Friday night, Saturday night down in Southern California in the gas lamp of San Diego, dumb things start happening. Now, I will say we didn't get into too many, tomfooleries, we'll call them. We got into our fair share of brawls and bad decision making. Made a couple trips down to Tijuana that didn't quite work out too well. Turns out we, as I even said the word Tijuana, I was getting flashbacks of one of my barracks mates. We all went out to San Diego with the intention of going down to Tijuana, which is right adjacent to it. You can literally walk down there, right? It's the whole idea. A lot of Americans just walk straight to Tijuana and party and come back. And one of my buddies, we're all young PFCs, Lance Corporals, barely old enough to make a wise decision. He picked up these 2 girls that he met online. Now, this is early 2000s, right? It wasn't online dating, wasn't what it is today, right? So we had, what was it? Hotornot.com. MySpace was even barely a thing at the time, right? I mean, just a whole different ballgame when it came to online meeting people. AOL chat rooms were a big thing back in the day. Anyway, brought these 2 girls down there, and they decided to get belligerently drunk. And then, of course, we were kind of not like in charge of them, but we were their not rides, but we walked down there with them. So we had some responsibility to make sure they came back in one piece. We weren't just going to ditch them down there. We didn't know these girls, but again, we weren't going to just leave them there and, feed them to the wolves or whatever. Anyway, it turned into a night of debauchery where we probably escaped Mexico jail time by a couple of smart decision makers. But anyway, that was one of the more unsavory moments we had down there. Other than that, I will say my stay down there was pretty mild. Again, we didn't deploy. I was with the schools unit. So the most we did when the war broke out is that we just churned through them quicker, right? We got the new Marines in, we trained them up quicker, and we sent them off to fight the good fight. So I will share one silly story though. So went to the PX down in if Pendleton, the 21 area right by the beach, right, the Del Mar area. Went to the PX early 2000s, like I said, and bought some liquor. And then the gal behind the counter, she's asking for ID, and I said sure. I gave her my Alaskan driver's license. Now, you don't see very many Alaskan driver's licenses down in California, much less on base, much less at the PX, right? So this has been a rarity for her. So she looks at this thing, she goes, "Oh, Alaska, huh? Wow." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Must be pretty warm down there." I'm gonna pause for a second, just to have your listeners kind of digest that on their own. Like down there, and I'm trying to noodle on what she meant by down there. I'm like, "What do you mean down there?" She, down there. It must be pretty warm down there. And I go, where do you think Alaska is? And she says, you have the Hawaii there, and then you have Alaska. I'm like, oh, so the weather report, they put the continuous 48 states in one area of the picture, and then they put Alaska next to Hawaii, right down there by Hawaii. So you couldn't really fault her for believing that. But then I said, no, oh no, sweetie, no, Alaska is way up north. It's right between Canada and Russia. We get -40. I mean, it's Arctic living. And then this young woman, I'll spare the 4-letter words for the audience, but this young woman, then she cocks her head to the side. She goes, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "No, bitch, I just lived there for 5 years. But tell me more." Jesus.
It's flat earther thing,
Don't get me. Okay. Since we're off the topic, on topic, we're the flat earthers now. Let's assume. Oh my God, we're gonna go into different directions here, I'm sure. But let's assume, for argument's sake, let's play the what if game. Let's say the Earth really is flat, and according to their model, I use the word model in air quotes. According to their model, on this flat Earth, the sun just kind of, hovers around in a circular pattern. That's the assumption of what the model looks like. Okay, let's assume all that is true for just a split second. If that were really the case, we wouldn't get sunsets. The sun would just get smaller in the horizon, and they get bigger as the day comes to you. Like, there wouldn't be any sunsets. It doesn't explain anything. The model is completely flawed. I don't get it.
Don't speak logical here. We don't want that. We want to have arguments over that.
That's right. It does make me feel good. Go ahead.
I don't know if you want to pop this up earlier. Jake said your Star Wars display is freaking epic. Told you someone would jump in and say that. It was Jake, not my brother. I figured my brother would. There it is.
Thank you. I totally appreciate it. Then the big guy behind me doesn't look like much, right? But it's about 3 feet lengthwise and about 2 feet tall. It weighs about 20 pounds. It's a beast. If you like Legos, if you like Star Wars, grab this one. It was a fun build. Took me about a month to do. If you like what I just said, go grab it. It's a little pricey, but totally worth its money.
A little pricey, but it's worth it in your budget. Go ahead and get it, and you'll have fun building.
That's right. And then you put it somewhere where no one can ever touch it, because if that thing falls, I'm never putting it back together again. There's no way I can do that without the manual and just break it all down and try and get it from scratch. There's just no way.
I just got to hire, if you have nephews or if you know anybody with little kids, a 7 to 10-year-old, they'll probably have to do it for you in about a week.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. All right, let me put that on the list in case it ever happens, right? In case a big earthquake knocks it off or something. I'm like, God damn it, Rich.
She gave me this idea. Now I got to use it.
That's right. How dare you make me use my brain?
So after the military, what was your next journey as you transitioned out of the Marine Corps?
Yeah, so this was 2004, and I quickly realized that Southern California, for a single dude without any place to live, without any place to work lined up, was a tough sell. So I was dating a girl at the time who knew some people here in Las Vegas, who we went to go party with on a New Year's, right before I got released from my contract. I got let out early for good behavior, I'd like to say. But so I asked those dudes, I said, hey, you guys have an empty room in your townhome? I'm getting out of the military in a couple months. Do you mind if I rent it out and then just get on my feet and I kind of go from there? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. So that was pretty much the only reason why it took me to Vegas out to California. If it weren't for said girl that I dated, if it weren't for the opportunity of living in these dudes' townhome for a bit, it probably would have transpired in a different way. But I will say it took a little while to get used to. There definitely is it's easy to get sucked into Vegas and all Vegas has to offer in all the most positive and all the most negative ways that you can imagine. Really, Vegas has a lot to offer, but also has a lot of pitfalls if you don't know what you're doing, right? It's easy to get caught up in the gambling and the drinking and the drugs and the nightlife and all the, vices that everyone has vices. But I think it also depends on how much you want to play into those, how much discipline you have. Like we're not big gamblers. I'll put $100 down on the blackjack table once in a blue moon, and I'm happy with it, right? So thankfully that vice never grabbed me. I'm not a smoker. I drink on social occasions, right? So it's not like I go out there and make horrendously bad decisions. I still do, right? But not to the extent that it's going to cause an issue. But Vegas has been good to me, right? I've been living here for 20 years now. I call it my home. I've lived here for longer than any other place. Bought a house a couple years ago, got solar put on it. I think it's always like a telltale sign. Once you put solar in a house, you're gonna be there for a while, right? Got engaged recently, so I'm where I need to be. I'm happy where I'm at.
Congrats on the engagement.
Thank you. She had no choice. My mom pays her well, so she couldn't say no.
Hopefully she's listening.
For enough money, she will.
All right, we'll get that.
That sounds really hard. That sounds horrible. She is really, she's a solid. She's really awesome. I'm not saying she's just after the money because she's barked up the wrong tree.
She'll be all right.
Listening in. Hold on. She's made some comment. Oh, she says, "I know where you sleep." True.
Oh, there it is. There it is. And that's before you get the full ring on. So remember, it gets worse as marriage goes on.
The engagement ring, the wedding ring, then the suffer ring, right?
There it is. That's another book. Definitely another book. As you wrote, why did you decide to write this book?
Yeah. So absolutely. So I've accumulated my fair share of stories, silliness, firsthand experience, foot and mouth moments, just some silly observations. I've gone to my fair share of raves and then done, the things that, you get with that. So just experiences, right? Over the course of the last 20, 30, about 30 plus years. And I also like to think I come with a decent amount of relatable wisdom. I wrote this book really just kind of brain dump my experiences, my thoughts, my rants, my opinions. Maybe someone can learn from my mistakes. Maybe someone can take some humor from the silliness I've got myself into. I share some relatable, like personal growth steps you can take. There's just a little bit of everything in this book, and I hope that to your listeners, if one of them wants to pick it up and read it, I've got nothing but positive reviews and feedback of the 160 pages I put together. And I think the title, Plays Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes, really sums it up nicely. And like I said, just a really lighthearted approach to life. Some silly stories that I share, some more serious moments that I share. And I just hope that it's entertaining and someone can get something out of it.
Definitely. And that is available on Amazon.
Yeah. So easiest way, you can either punch in my name into Amazon or punch in the title, or probably easier than that, if you go to andysbook.com, there's a picture of me holding it up. There's a link to the Amazon page. And also, if your listeners would like to have a copy on me, I do have a couple of ones left here that I'm happy to send out. If you go to andysbook.com/gift, punch in your info, check the checkbox you want it signed. I'm happy to send you. Like I said, I have a few left here. I'm more than happy to send them to you. So,
there, MisFitNation, putting the offer out there for you to get a signed copy of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes, and everyone likes to say those things. You see signs about it, stickers about it. Now we have a 160-page book written by a Marine and an immigrant on this same subject. And I said immigrant there because that's part of your history. It's part of your bio line. It's immigrant, then veteran.
Yeah.
Basically the line in which your life was. Have you gone back to Germany since you moved here, or is everyone here that was, I guess, immediate family?
Yeah, so funny you should mention that. We literally, when I say literally, about a week ago, came back from our Europe trip. This is the time when I actually proposed to the lady as well. Now my fiance, I almost said girlfriend, but fiance now. So we had a couple of things planned, and we made a whole 3-week trip out of it. But before then, usually on average, I will go back once every, 5 to 10 years. It was 6 years prior to this one and 10 years prior to that one. I mean, just time and money and the usual restraints, right? But no, it was a good time. We did, not to humble brag, but we did Portugal, we did Spain, we did Germany, Belgium, and then London for about 3 or 4 days apiece. It was just a really good trip, like good to disconnect from Vegas, get out of the heat for a while, show her my kind of like my not my old stomping grounds, but kind of show her my country, where I grew up. So it was a really good trip overall. Had a good time. We got sick towards the end of it. Physically sick, not sick of it, right? But we physically caught a bug on the last couple of days, but we kind of, just kind of dealt with it as is. I will say one thing: if you ever go to Portugal, you have to go to Porto and you have to try the port wine. Their wine there, try the 10-year, the 20-year, the 30-year. Once you try the port wine there, like the good stuff, you'll have a hard time going back to anything else. That's how good it is.
Wow. You heard it here first, people. Try the port wine, Porto, Portugal.
That's right.
Go back to something else.
You mentioned Immigrant. One other story I'd like to share that I think rings home with your veteran listeners. So I was told before I went to boot camp, they told me, look, keep your actually it was a former Marine that told me, who I was working with. He says, oh, you're going off to boot camp. Let me give you one piece of advice. He says, keep your mouth shut and your eyes and ears wide open. I'm like, all right, noted. Another piece of advice I was given, they told me, stay out of the light, fly under the radar, right? You do not want to be known to the drill instructors, right? You just want to be one of the guys and just kind of go through the process, not being known by anyone. That's the most ideal way to do it. Like, all right, noted. Well, about halfway into the 3-month cycle, one of our drill instructors found out that I was from Germany, and hence I got the nickname Germany, right? Very creative, I know. So, from that point on, he would just call me Germany, and then that was my nickname moving forward. So I remember we did field training, and of course, part of field training is the gas chamber. So we go through the training, we do the whole gas mask, shebang, right? How you clear it, how you put it on, how the whole deal, right? And of course, at the end, you have to go into the shack, right? That has the smoke coming out of it. And then you go in and do your exercises, and you prove trial by fire to see if you actually retained what you learned. So we're standing outside of it, ready to go in, got our gas masks on, right? And then said drill instructor, he comes running out of left field. He starts yelling, Germany, Germany, where are you? God damn it, Germany, raise your hand. Where are you? I'm like, I knew it was coming, and there's no place to hide, right? So I put my arm up and I go, here, sir. He comes running over. And, the drill instructor, the campaign covers, right? The drill instructor covers the hats that they wear, right? The brim comes out about a good 3 inches or so. And it's good for pushing things out of the way, especially like recruits' heads. So this brim comes out, pushes me right in the temple, pushes me at an angle. And drill instructors, he said, okay, it wasn't loud, but it was just loud enough for me to hear it and for everyone around me to hear it. He goes, all right, Germany, you're about to go into the gas chamber. No, you'll know what it feels like.
Oh man.
Now, what do you say, man? Like, come on. What do you say? You say nothing. Of course, around me, I heard nothing but the muffled, chuckles and everything. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Really? Trying to force you to open your mouth and get some of that gas in there too.
Ooh, the good stuff.
He's trying to work it out on you.
The guy next to me, he was our private pile. He started freaking out. I remember this. He started freaking out. He was next to me, so I remember this very vividly. He didn't clear his gas mask, or he couldn't hold his breath, or whatever hell it was. He just freaked out. And once you get a whiff of it, I mean, it resets you, right? I mean, you wake up. I was fortunate enough to only get a small whiff of the gas when I cleared my mask, but he just freaked out. And once you're in freak out mode, you can't. I mean, it's almost impossible to reset. So he was just screaming, I can't breathe. It was snot beer, just like running down his face. And anyway, I mean, I felt a little bad for him, but not bad enough to do anything about it. But what can you do, right? You just deal with it.
Used to be part of my job was to run the gas chamber. So I loved it. I got so used to it that I would go in with nothing on.
Are you kidding me? That's insane. And you can breathe. As far as I know, it's got enough oxygen that you can breathe perfectly fine. It's just that the irritation will get you every time. But you completely, I just became immune to it. That's insane.
I acted like I was not in anything. So I'd go in there and just tell them, do you smell anything? Oh, no. All right. Pop the seal. And then they start coughing.
Oh, my God.
And when I was doing it, for some reason, when they built them at that time, there was always either a tree or a pole right outside that back door.
Okay.
And someone would run right into that tree and the rest would trip over and go out there. So
my God. It's there for a reason.
At that time. And I think the people who built it were a little crazy for building them those ways, but that's my favorite memories of my early career. I was running the chambers.
You are an emotional terrorist, and I salute you.
Thank you. Then I'd go to the TFAC with it all over my clothes, all over my BDUs, and just sit next to people with the CS gas and pop it. Share it with others.
Share it, of course. Sharing is caring. You have so much of it, you want to share it with others, right?
You don't want to just keep that stuff to yourself. You got to.
That's right. No, hell no. Shit's expensive. Here, have some. Love me.
Sam paid for it. Everyone should have.
That's right. I'll even sign for it, right? Get a little supply sheet, a little transfer, right? Here you go. Sign off.
You're rich. Now you get some CS. It's good.
That's right. On me. I love it.
We do have a question from the audience right now.
What's up?
Written Grace 77. What's one stupid game you played that actually taught you the most? Thanks, Great and Grace.
That's a great question. Right? What's one dumb thing that's taught me the most? Okay, so this is one I kind of. There's been some personal mishaps I've had, and some more heartfelt and more serious moments. But I will say one of the easily approachable things I've learned is if you've ever played blackjack, right? If you know the basic rules of blackjack, you dealt a hand, and then you can either choose to stay or stand or hit, right? I mean, there's other options, so you can double down, you can split, but for the most part, you either choose to get another card or hold on to the cards you have. Now, when you play blackjack, however, you know that some hands you cannot win. There are some hands that are already lost by the time they're dealt to you. Whether you stand or hit, the dealer has you beat, right? And I think there's a really valuable life lesson there where some situations in life you cannot win, right? No matter what you do, you will not come out on top. And the only thing you can do from that point is take a knee, take a loss, and then try again. And I think that's a valuable life lesson that is not taught often enough to look, not everything is winnable. You will not come out on top on everything. Just deal with life. Life sucks sometimes. You have to deal with it.
Definitely. And you got to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, for sure.
Something I think everyone needs to learn. I think in your bio, it said something about what others can learn from your mishaps. Any mishaps that we have, if we don't share what happened to us, others are more than likely to do the same thing. And you share your own personal mishaps with others, either in the book or outside of that, to make sure, or at least hope to poke them in the right direction.
Yeah, I like to think that life beckons, right? And life is full of experiences that is more than willing to give to you. But also life comes at a price, right? You have to play the game that life gives you. If you're perfectly content sitting at home and playing video games and watching movies all day, fine. If that's what tickles you, fine, absolutely, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But I think life is lived to its fullest when you go out there and make mistakes, right? You choose a path that may be uncomfortable to you, that may be new to you. But guess what? These stories don't just make themselves. One of the things that I was told when I was writing the book, one of the best pieces of advice I was given was, it doesn't write itself, right? I think that we all have this grand project in our heads, whether it be they want to write a manuscript or write a book or paint a painting or rebuild that 69 engine from their Camaro or whatever the hell it is, right? Everyone has that passion project that they say that I will do this someday, right? But someday never happens. It's always just like this grand idea that's floating in their heads that someday I'll get to that. Okay, well, again, the book doesn't write itself. You have to do the work, right? And it starts somewhere. And just taking that initial step is sometimes the most difficult. I've also found that once you take that initial step, it's self-motivating, right? The fact that you have something to show for it, it motivates you to do more, right? I feel like that we all get stuck in our heads way too often to dream about the idea, but then to not actually put any work into it. And I think that's a shame.
A lot of people want everything with the easy button, like Staples, the easy button, press the button. That was easy,
right?
Everyone wants that easy button and not to put in the effort or put the work in. They want to use the AI tools now to write an entire book for themselves instead of writing any part of their book and maybe adjusting it with it. They'll put in there, write a book about X. I'm going to sell this now. I put in, write a book about X.
Yeah, I agree. There was, oddly enough too, when I first published it on Amazon, back in the day there was no AI generation, so there wasn't any kind of fail safes or checkboxes. Now when I make an update to it, it asks me twice, or is there, and maybe it's 3 times now, I have no idea, but I'll ask you to confirm with you, is there anything in the writing, excuse me, that is AI generated? No. That says, are you sure, right? Because it wants to make sure that you're not just, a publishing slob, which I'm sure it's a problem for them as it is. But no, I think that, I don't know, I took some classes at UNLV here recently, just some adult continuing education, and 100 level in anthropology classes where I'm in a virtual class with 19, 20-year-old kids. I call them kids, but young adults. Yes. But I remember there was a few writing assignments we had to do where we had to read 10 pages out of this PDF and then regurgitate it based on these questions, and then you're supposed to post your thoughts, your opinions, and once you post it, you can see the other students replies, and you can tell just by reading the first sentence, right, if it's AI generated or if it's an actual human being that wrote it. Maybe that will change one day, but you can tell just off the bat that, look, these students are using it, and I think they believe it's a great tool to use. But I don't know, I feel like we're not helping the dumbification of young adults, where they just press a button and it churns out 4 paragraphs or 5 pages or whatever it is on the topic, and it's an easy button, but it doesn't teach you anything. You're going to come off of it not having done the work and not having learned anything,
and then not even knowing what's in it. So,
yeah,
on a show like this here, and I ask you a question about your book, you won't know what's in there because you didn't really write it.
Yeah, write the damn thing. That's right. No.
Like with your book, you know the stories, you know what's in there. You can share whatever you want throughout the book without giving away the whole book. Of course, maybe the people will support you and buy it.
Yeah.
So with it, is there a story from the book that really resonates the most with you that you'd like to share?
Resonates with. I mean, it's. I will say it's. All the stories are a slice of something that happened in my life. All the stories are unapologetically me. One thing I will share. This one actually kind of rings home. So, I felt like some 25 years ago that I didn't know how to do life. I didn't know how to communicate with people properly. I didn't have the right social skills to be successful with dating. I had a small group of friends that I hung on to just because I had very few options. And I learned through my fair share of heartache and headache, and there's a whole write-up on how that happened in the book, of look, social skills, it's just like any other skill. You can learn it, right? We've all known those guys and girls that just have no problem being social in any kind of situation that they're in. They can talk to almost anyone. They can make friends with anyone at any time. And I was always in shock and awe of those people, and I never knew how they did it. And I think that back in the day, I thought that was just like this black magic that you're born with it or you're not. If you're not, then you're SOL. But I'm telling you, social skills is a learnable skill like any other skill. I will say with a caveat, however, learning social skills is like going to the gym. You're not going to get big and buff by going to one extra hard session, once in a blue moon. No, there's one of those things that just like a gym membership, you have to have at it, right? You have to make it a consistent part of your life, and you will see results if you're not happy with your job, not happy with your social circle, not happy with your dating life, not happy with your spouse. It literally affects every aspect of your life. If you're not happy with how your life is treating you, that's on you, but you can fix it. I'm not saying that social skills will be your golden key to open all the doors and everything, but I will say that learning social skills, and it takes a while, learning social skills and applying it to my life has been one of those things that I wish I would have known about this sooner. If I can go back in time and tell my younger self one piece of advice, is that, right? Learn social skills, get good with that, and everything else will fall in place much, much, much easier.
Definitely. And I think, like you said, with the gym, social skills, maybe have to take those baby steps. Don't try to kill yourself and go for that max rep the first day. First day, maybe just talk to one person, look in the eyes and say hello. That might be it. That may be all you got that first day.
Yeah.
Next day, say hello, how are you? And get a little better each day, so you're not looking down and looking at your phone or whatever device, and you're looking up those 3 inches and seeing nothing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just and little things like body language. Body language speaks so much, right? And body language is almost often so we rarely control it because it's so subconscious to us. But just to give you a small example, when you go to a social setting where they serve alcohol, I will bet you money, if you look around, 9 times out of 10, the guys and girls will hold their drink right there at their chest, right? Because it's comfortable, right? You stand there and you hold your drink in front of your chest, right? However, when you look at that from a body language perspective, it's a very guarded position. It's a very uncomfortable guarded position. It screams, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to, it's hard to engage someone when they have that physical barrier of a drink up in front of them. It may not look like much, but it communicates a lot, and we pick up on those subconscious things. One of the more easier ways, in my opinion, to convey that you're comfortable even when you're not, is to hold your drink down by your side. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but holding your drink down by your side will automatically relax you because it gives you that comfort, right? It's the body language that you give off. You also feed off it at the same time, and you can tell. If you were to talk to someone who has a drink by their side, that automatically conveys an aura of comfort. And hey, you can come talk to me. I'm chill. I'm relaxed. I'm not guarded. I'm having a good time. Let's chat, right? So little things like that mean a lot, even though you don't pick up on them.
Right. We've got another question from the audience here from Real Talk with Tina. As both an immigrant and a veteran, which identity shaped your humor? Thank you.
It's a great question. They both have their parts, right? I definitely like playing the card or the cards whenever I need to, right? I can easily play the I'm an immigrant card. So when people have opinions about the whole immigrant the political spectrum of what immigration is today. Hey, you know what? I'm an immigrant too, so I can pull that card and talk about that. But also, I'm a veteran, so I can pull that card. I think that definitely there's been a lot of my humor and background has been shaped by my German heritage. So I think we just, as Germans, we just have a certain amount of traits, right, that you're born with. One of my coworkers gave me a mug when I was leaving my last job, and it says fun facts on the mug. It has printed on it says fun facts about Germany. No fun in Germany. Get back to work. Right, just little things like that crack me up. But I also think that you get a certain sense of positive cynicism, having been in the military, right? I think that it does warp you a little bit, sometimes in the positive, sometimes in negative ways. So I don't know. I think overall it all kind of culminated to make me the person I am today. And it just depends on the situation. Like I said, I like playing either card when it comes in handy. But I definitely think that both of them have worked out. They've worked well together in tandem, right, as a complement to kind of form the person I am today. And I'm happy that I'm both.
Definitely. I think, like you said, both had their pluses for the humor side of it. Shared what your heritage brings you, and then of course going into the Marines, that just exasperated the humor that you had because you had to laugh in the Marine Corps. One, make it through every day, because if you didn't, you just probably want to pull whatever hair you had left at that point. Why are we doing this thing? What is going on? What are they telling us to do? And I think that's a great way to go through.
Thank you.
I have another question just popping in for you. They're like, veteran voices. Any stories that were too raw or wild to include it?
Yeah. So I was debating on putting the story into the book. Okay, if you've read the book, or hell, if you've just listened to me for the last 40-some minutes, I think you'll get a good idea of who I am. Right. Most of the stuff, I'm not here to make fun of everyone, of anyone. I'm not here to make anyone a butt of a joke. I'm not here to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Right. It should all be lighthearted. It should all be with hopefully a message in it. Right. Again, I'm not out to hurt anyone, but I know that sometimes my punchlines, the things that I say, the things that I do, don't always resonate in the same way. So one story that I didn't put in there, you'll see why in a second. So at the time I was with a partner and we were trying to get a spot on, we have it's called the San Gennaro feast, basically just like a big feast, right? People, all the vendors, the Italian themed vendors come in. There's a bunch of booths selling stuff, just a way for people to go out there and eat and bring their families out and have a good time, right? So me and said partner, we had a small business going that we tried to get a booth for the San Gennaro feast here in Vegas. And so we showed up, and before, maybe like a week before the actual feast took place, and we talked to whoever the owner or the manager or director, whoever he was, doesn't really matter, to get a spot, to see how much these spots were, to set up a booth and everything. We show up, he got this little air-conditioned trailer. He was the short, elderly Italian, like very stereotypical. I say, not stereotypical, it's not the right word, but very traditional Italian man, right? Short in stature. And he's just being himself. I don't think there's anything innately, how should I put it? I think that a lot of Europeans, especially the older generation, are just a little racist. I'm not saying all of them, right? But just as a whole, sometimes, older European generations can tend to be a little racist sometimes against, people outside their skin color, et cetera, et cetera. I've experienced this myself, unfortunately, right? Germans are not the nicest people, especially the old generations as well. But anyway, so this elderly Italian dude, he shows us around. He goes on to, where the booth will be, where our spot will be and everything. We go back, into the trailer after he gave us a little tour and everything. And then he's just doing the paperwork. We're trying to make small talk with him. And my partner says, she said, it's pretty hot out there these days, right? Just, again, trying to make small talk while he's doing the paperwork. Completely innocent comment. And this dude, he wasn't trying to be funny. He wasn't delivering a punchline. He just straight-faced said, yep, you telling me if I were any darker, I get more benefits. Like, dude. And again, it's not me who said it. It's somebody else's punchline, or it wasn't even that for him, right? But I'm like, I even wrote out the entire page. And then as my mom, she was one of the first people to actually, give me a review of the book. She goes, well, there's nothing to be learned from that story. There may be a funny punchline there, but it's at the expense of other people. I'm like, you know what? You're right. There's nothing redeeming. There's nothing valuable about that. So that's one of the stories that was left out. The other one that I want to put in, but was very, very difficult to put in paper or on paper, and you'll see why in a second. So me and my coworker Nathan, and then our former boss Kay, we all went to, I think it was Texas for work. And we sat down there in the conference room, and then Kay started, kind of giving up what we're going to do for the day. And he said, all right, Nathan, or all right, Andy, I want you to do X, Y, Z and check on blah, blah, blah. And you, Nathan, and he was starting to yawn as we started to talk. And you, Nathan, I want you to, right? So I took it upon myself because I thought it was funny as hell. I said, all right, Kay, let me make sure I got this. You want me to do X, Y, Z and check on blah, blah, blah. And you want Nathan to.
Oh, boy.
For obvious reasons, it's very difficult to put that on paper. If there's ever an audiobook, that will definitely be included, though.
And you'll get two different audiences, happy and sad about that one. Outstanding. One more just popped in. This
Yeah.
is
Hell yeah. Love your
from
audience.
Alam Poet. How do you balance making people laugh without losing the deeper meaning behind your experiences?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question too. I again, I like to think that I think there is value in self-deprecation, but not in a harmful way. Again, my humor, my dark sense of humor, the silly things that come out of my mouth. There is a really, it's a difficult thing sometimes to temper both, right? To tell an engaging, entertaining story, to have it make sense, to have there be some sort of, oh, I got something out of that, moment out of it, and balancing that without being a dancing monkey, right? You don't want the guy who just runs off or just says one-liners all day, because great, you're just a freaking clown. You just deliver jokes. I get it. You're that guy, right? But I think there is value, and I think there's also difficulty in telling stories that teach someone something, where there's a little bit deeper meaning than just me, telling a silly story, and we all kind of laugh when I deliver the punchline, right? So it is a very it's a tricky balance to achieve, and I think that just comes with experience, right? And also it helps that before I wrote these stories, before I put them down on paper, I told the same 30, 40 stories over and over and over and over. So I got the timing right, the messages there, I have it. Sometimes I have a tendency to gather people in, to pause during certain times, just to make sure people are paying attention, and also build that dramatic effect. So it is a skill, right? And I'm still working on getting that fine-tuned and dialed in. But I think if you are a storyteller that can convey, just a message, right? It can be so entertaining and so relieving too, to hear somebody else just share their lives, right, and to learn something from that at the same time.
Definitely. And do you believe as the book is now rising on the charts, or it's on Amazon getting the feed and getting the good feedback, will you write a second book?
So I won't say no. Now, I will say I poured almost everything into this first one. Now, if a publisher would come to me and say, "Hey, Andy, here's $50K, for part 2," I could probably be convinced to come up with a second one. As it stands right now, if you get through it from start to finish, you'll get a good idea of my experiences, and there's probably some more stories to be told. But I will say, in all likelihood, this will be it. This is my passion project, my labor of love, and I'm happy with it, with the way it is, and I think this will be it.
Outstanding. That's it. You got to know where to say no and where to say yes. But 50,000 is his level, everyone. 50,000.
That was just the number I threw out there. I'm willing to work for less. Don't tell anyone.
46.7. One last question coming in from the audience right now. This is from The Rise, The Fall, The Mall. Do you think people connect more with your failures or your growth, and why do you think that is?
I remember as you said this, as you read the question out loud, I was reminded of there was a sergeant in our corporal's course, right? And for the listeners of yours that are not veterans, right, corporal is a young leadership role in the enlisted ranks of the military, and corporal's course is a leadership course for said young leaders that you just learn leadership skills. You learn how to do things the proper way, I guess. Anyway, 3 weeks of boot camp phase 2, they call it, right? And one of the sergeants that led a lot of the instructions, he asked us one day, he goes, "Who do you think you learn better from? The good teachers or the bad ones?" And we're like, "Well, the good ones, of course." He goes, "No, wrong, the bad ones. Because you'll remember how not to do it." And I go, that's a really good point. I never considered that. I don't know. I think there is value in the life experiences, and I think there is also value in sharing said experiences when there is something to be learned from that. I like to think that I hope that my stories come across as entertaining. I've never suffered. I've never lived without a roof over my head or without food in my belly. I've never been out of luck in that regard. I came from a middle class family. My mom took great care of me. She did the best that she could, and I've never suffered like some other people who are out there actually suffering with a capital S. So again, take what I wrote, take the book with that in mind. It's not the suffering Olympics. When I talk about having come across hardships, I've never had hardships like some people have. So just take it as it is and keep it with that theme in mind.
Outstanding. Thank you for sharing that, Andy. As we start to wrap up here, I have 2 questions left for you, and they're pretty easy ones. First one is, what's the best way for Misfit Nation to get in contact with you? They want to either have you on their shows or just to talk to you about maybe the process of book.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, andysbook.com, there's a contact button on there as well. I read all emails that come my way, right? Maybe one day I get famous and rich that I hire someone to do it. That day is still a long ways off, right? But until that day happens, I read all the emails that come in. So if you want to get a hold of me, the contact button at andysbook.com. And if you send it off, I'll get it in my inbox and I'll read it.
Outstanding. That is in the chat right now is the website address. And Andy, last question that we ask our guest every time they're on here: what's 3 things Misfit Nation can start doing tomorrow to be better humans?
3 things. I think one thing is enough to wrap up. I have a pretty esoteric afterlife belief. If you get to like the last page of the book, you'll read about it. Now I understand that this belief is a little out there, right? But in my opinion, it's not any more or any less out there than most other people's afterlife beliefs. But it basically, the summary is this. I believe that the being that is you lives all lives across all history. So what I mean by that is, when the Andy that I am today, dies and goes off into the next phase, that I'm really just an entity that then relives another life. I may be living, Rich's life afterwards, right? Maybe living the life of the beggar that asked me for money on the way to work. I may be reliving my mom's life, right? But individually, right, uniquely to that experiences, without knowing anything before or afterwards. If that makes no sense at all, that's perfectly fine. It's not supposed to make a whole lot of sense, but the message from that is to be good to yourself and be good to others, because at the end of the day, you're the same thing.
Outstanding. Thank you, Andy. And thank you for taking some of your time from the warmth of Vegas to hang out with us in the air-conditioned house with your Star Wars collection behind you, getting more likes from the Star Wars than I am from my great talking. But thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Rich, thanks for having me. I had a good time talking to you and your audience. Thank you.
Awesome. Misfit Nation, remember, a day tomorrow with you is better than a day without you. Drop our emails in the chat for a reason. If you don't want to call 988 and get help, reach out to us. We will answer that email. We will pick up the phone and call you once you contact us. We will keep you with us. You stay in the light. The rest of the Misfit Nation, the Tuesday crew, will have Tommy Kirkpatrick on Tuesday. Join in with Cagney and Lacey as they reunite virtually. They were together this weekend. Check out the video online. It's pretty funny. And we will see you then. Be hungry, stay humble, and keep hustling. You know how we do this here.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.